We can see the impacts of a heat wave and the forest fires this summer. So the necessity for action is pretty imperative.
Don't expect the city of Vancouver to meet its 2030 climate action goals. A report from staff say the likelihood is poor. And the reason for all of this is a lack of funding.
A good chunk of the money could have been generated through a controversial pollution surcharge that council voted down on last month. Melissa DeGenova was one of the councillors who voted against it.
To talk about the parking plan that council ultimately turned down, I think that it's important to talk about the funding that would be generated and what that would be going towards. And that would mostly be going towards staffing. And that was a concern and an issue that I had raised.
DeGenova wants to see not just Vancouver, but everyone get on board.
If we're going to consider this, I don't have an issue considering it, but let's consider it as a region. No different than mobility pricing. I have not said that I'm against it. I'm against considering it just as a city.
There was that parking proposal that would have brought in a significant amount of revenue to the city and perhaps maybe help with some of those costs. Do you think that was a realistic thing, or was council right to vote no to that? Is there an alternative perhaps?
No, that was a realistic thing. We need to take measures that lead to more active transportation, that lead to more people taking transit. We need measures that take equity into consideration, and that one did.
So where do you think the city should go next in this?
Every action is a climate action, right? And so you have to consider that, whether it's budgeting or taking hard stances on issues. So for example, the climate emergency parking program was recently not passed by council.
For DeGenova's part, she's hoping for more inclusivity and less red tape when it comes to climate change.
Regardless of in what category they may be in, how do we work with the public to do what we can to incentivize transit, to build inclusive and accessible spaces, public spaces, to think this through logically and in ways that real working people and families can be accommodated and actually encouraged to walk. It's not a punishment to take transit. And that's what I hear from more and more residents, that they're happy to be a part of this change and movement, but they don't want to be told what to do. They want to come along with it.
There were some positives from the report: a drop in carbon pollution, though that was due to work from home because of the pandemic. The initial goal was to drop those emissions by 50% by 2030. In Vancouver, Ria Renouf, City News.